Here at Caravan Salon in Dusseldorf, Germany, we're taking a look at this caravan here. This is a Hobby Excellent Edition 650 KMFe. Still trying to remember all of these different brands, model numbers, and everything here in Europe. If you don't know, I'm from America originally and out here traveling, showing you all kinds of different caravans that exist here in Europe. And this is one that has a pretty unique design that's definitely different from a lot of stuff that we see in the US. So let's go take a look. Come on. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Myles with Firmly Unbound, and we are here in Dusseldorf, Germany at Caravan Salon, where I'm filming this camper here for you, or caravan for you if you are in Europe. This is the 2026 Hobby Excellent Edition 650 KMFe. Really unique floor plan layout. It's suited for families. This camper here, we'll go through some of the specs. The length on it is 27 feet 4 inches, which here in millimeters is 8,330 millimeters. The width on it is 8 foot 2 inches, which is about 2,500 millimeters. The height on it is about 8 foot 7, which is going to be about 2,630 millimeters. And then the weight on this, the mass and running order, or the dry weight, as we say in the US, is around 1,670 kilograms, which that converted to pounds is just a touch under 3,700 pounds. So not super heavy or anything like that. Payload capacity on this is really interesting. The payload capacity standard on these, and I'm not sure what equipment changes your payload capacity or cargo capacity on these caravans, but the standard weight is a 506 pound cargo carrying capacity or 230 kilograms. And then there's upgrades that can get you up to 522 kilograms, which is about 1,150 pounds for your payload capacity. So kind of interesting there. This is a tandem axle caravan or travel trailer. Most of what you see in Europe is single axle. So there's only a few tandem axle setups that you see here in Europe, and this is one of them. So getting a little bit bigger here in terms of size, but stuff in Europe here doesn't really go over 30 feet for a towable caravan. And we're going to talk about some of the differences here between like American manufacturing, European manufacturing, and stuff of that nature. But I can only do that like so much in so many of these videos. I filmed various different videos already where I've gone pretty in detail over those different aspects. So if I miss a thing or two here, always can add a comment down below asking a question if there's something I didn't talk about that you're curious about, and we can talk there as well. So try to provide as much information for you as I can without getting too long-winded. Have really nice, interesting storage compartments here on the entry door. The entry doors here in Europe are pretty, unique compared to what we're used to in the United States. They don't have like swinging screen doors like we see in America. So they have these sliding bug screens there. I actually kind of prefer that to what we see in the US. And their door construction is much more robust than what we see in the United States. Now, some of what I've been hearing for the reasons why is that they have more regulations on caravan production here in Europe, which means that these things go through like a crash test process, and they have to be able to, from what I understand and what I've been told, is they have to be able to handle like rolling over without collapsing and things of that nature. So that's why we see some different construction and looks on these caravans, especially like you see this on the back end. This thing looks like a motorhome from the back, or looks like it's more, built with vehicle standards. Also looks like we have a fiberglass roof there, and you can see like the corners and all the, ways that the different parts of this thing is constructed to, kind of be built a bit more like a vehicle. And some of that is because of the regulations. Now, this is where I have a question for my American audience. If you're in America and you're seeing this and you're like, wow, I really like that quality, you have to understand the price on this here is 40,000 euros, which is going to put this in about the $50,000 price range. So this is an under 30 foot long camper for about like $50,000 to $60,000, which basically puts this in the same classification as maybe like a Brinkley. It's just shy of an Airstream, but it's close to Airstream. In fact, Airstream is definitely the closest thing we have in the US to kind of meet these standards. But you have no slide outs in here, no slide outs at all. That's not something that they do on caravans here in Europe. So you don't get any slide outs. It's much smaller than a Brinkley, and it's still pretty expensive. So I'm curious if we would rather in the United States have more of a free market where people can make these campers that we have in the US to whatever standards people are willing to buy and pay for, or if we would rather have more regulation where, it might make things more strict. It might give us less options in the marketplace, but it gives you a higher quality of standard that's like your baseline. it's a tough line to try to figure out where that balance is that, you know, creates the most ideal situation. But you definitely see better quality out here. I mean, this is more of a high grade aluminum exterior. You see the pebbled siding on there, pretty unique. It's not quite up to like the same standard as an Airstream aluminum exterior, but it's definitely much better than like the corrugated aluminum that we see in the United States. So this is like a high grade aluminum siding, kind of like what we see on the new Brinkley Model I Air series. Got your grab handles, we step inside, and then in this floor plan here, really unique layout. You got your 3 stacked bunks there. Now those bunks, unfortunately, are not really adult size, so it's more just tuned for families with kids. But I think that's totally fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I think in the US, a lot of times people might be looking for more versatility out of their bunk spaces. This is definitely just designed for kids, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second when I try to get into those bunk beds. I will show you that. But you have good storage around this area. See your wardrobe storage there. Got a latch right here to hold that door closed. Pretty nice. And then we have a little lounge area. Got some shelving back in the corner. Really nice lighting. Dual pane acrylic windows with the curtains that go over those windows. Plus your windows will have a bug screen that drops down and a privacy screen. So it has both those options there. All the furniture in Europe is pretty much cloth. All the towable caravans out here have cloth furniture, so that's pretty standard for what I'm seeing. Have a freestanding table, so you can remove this, or you can move it around however you best see fit. You can take it out if you want. And we have a privacy curtain going back to this area. Now, if you want to see me try to get into the bunks, stay tuned for the end of this video. I'll do that before we step back outside. But I want to show you around first in case you have no interest in seeing how a grown adult fits inside of those bunks. We have a dining table here. This is my mom. She's hanging out. She is an employee of Myles RVs, and she helps me stay coordinated and organized out here. So she's hanging out and making sure everything goes smoothly. Then we got our storage up through here. You can see we have divisions in the shelving between each cabinet that opens up. Really nice kind of custom cabinetry design there, and really nice hinges, soft close on those, LED lighting up above here. And then we have our ceiling lights. They don't have like the traditional puck lights like we see in the US. And then they do skylights wherever they can. So you got a skylight here in the kitchen space, nice big one at that in this area with a privacy curtain that will block out light and your bug screen. Then we come through this kitchen space, really nice looking cabinetry. They have these latches on their cabinets that you push like that to open it up. So same thing here, push that. Keeps those closed while you're going down the road. And then you have that additional storage there in the middle. Kind of cool, you know, design on how they did that. The only thing we see in the US that has stuff like this is Airstream. Airstream does that in a few of their models, but not all of them. Then we drop down, we have our countertop here. A decent amount of countertop space, but not a ton. A lot of these caravans are pretty limited on their kitchen countertop space. They definitely don't allocate a whole lot of space to the kitchen, and you don't really get the opportunity to without slide out boxes. Not having slide outs really makes it tough to give you a, you know, kitchen space that we're used to seeing in campers or RVs in the US. So a lot of their campers too, or caravans, are designed more for like weekend camping trips. It's also not a thing out here in Europe the way it is in the US for people to live in these campers. That is far, far less common out here. I don't even know if, you know, hardly anyone is doing that. I'm sure there's some people, but not nearly as much as like what we have in the US. So see your drawers there, really nice drawer construction on those. Have a good size oven here. And then we have our 3-burner gas stove. And it is pushed up against the sidewall, have a, you know, little plate right there. One thing that people in Europe might not know if they haven't seen European campers, or United States campers, a lot of our campers will have their stove tops in the middle of the countertop here so that there's countertop space on both sides, and so they're not right up against the sidewall. Sure, there's plenty of manufacturers that will create campers in the US where the stovetop does go right up against the sidewall, meaning you have your pot handles and pan handles hitting this wall. There's no elbow space to cook, and you have grease that can splatter up in these areas. But there's a lot of American options that will give you a centered stove so that you don't have grease splashing up on your sidewalls and have more countertop space and more room and more arm space. But that's also because we have more space in general to work with typically. Then as we go back this way, got your refrigerator and freezer. Have your freezer portion up here. Again, another thing that's very different between like Europe and the US is all of their campers come with this style refrigerator, which is smaller than what we have in the US right now. And the only like highest end campers will come with 2 of these refrigerators, but they'll still be that same size. So that's another difference that we see. Have individual reading lights here over the booth dining area. This booth seating area is really large. I mean, there's almost enough width here for you to seat 3 people. If my mom scooted over, put a kid in between her and then another adult, like you could easily fit 3 people there. And it has a little back cushion back there, so you can drop this table down, make it into a bed, and then you get a nice long sleeping surface here, which would actually be better for an adult than these bunk beds. If you needed another sleeping surface for an adult, this would definitely work. Going back this way, we do have a spot for a TV on the wall there. Now, this is not a real TV. This is just a display, like plastic TV there. So it does have a spot for about a 24-inch screen TV though, if you wanted that. Then we go back to the bed, and we have our bed here in the back corner, kind of a custom bed shape. Pretty unique, pretty cool. Lift this up, you got your storage space down underneath there, and you can see they use more of a, slat style base for the beds here. This is much preferred to what we see in the US. One, the construction on it just seems better. 2, it allows the space to breathe, so you won't have that moisture buildup quite as much. One thing that we struggle with a lot in the US is if people camp in really cold climates and are running their furnace all the time, condensation builds up in their RVs, and that condensation is moisture that is just sitting inside of the RV that doesn't really have anywhere to escape if you don't have a dehumidifier or vent fans running all the time. And sometimes the wooden boards that we have under our beds, because it's just one big board of wood, can get moisture buildup on it from the condensation and then start to grow mold. And that is not something that we enjoy experiencing. We try to do all we can to prevent that from happening. And this kind of construction just by itself in its nature would kind of help prevent that from happening to some degree. You have your windows here, window there, again, all dual pane, acrylic style windows. Got your storage space all around the bed, and you have a nice little shelving area here with your window, reading lights in the corners for each person. Then another thing that's interesting that I just don't think would fly in the United States, I still have to do a little digging into this, because this bathroom here, you have your toilet, you have a base of what looks like the base for a shower, but unless there is something that I'm missing, there is no shower head in here. There's no way to get the faucet water source here into this door. So it looks from, what I can see here as though there is no shower. You got some storage space right here. You have some storage right there. You have your toilet, which is a cassette style toilet. You'll see when we go outside, you have a cassette style black tank, which is pretty much the norm here in Europe, where you have a removable black tank. You got some storage space up here. You have something that looks like it could open, but I do not know how to open it. I spent some time trying to mess with that and couldn't figure it out. So from everything I can see in this area, you do not have a shower setup, but it has, again, a drain hole in the floor here going somewhere to, it must be some sort of water tank, which makes me think, I don't know if maybe you're supposed to shower with a bucket of water and a sponge, maybe. I don't know. It seems like it's designed in some way for you to take a shower. I just don't know what the water source is designed or intended to be. So curious your guys' thoughts on that. And then also curious if you could ever see yourself buying a camper that's this nice, that does not come with a, designated shower space. Quick, while we're in this area too, I want to talk about, with your black tank, there's a product that you all should know about called Liquefied. Now, this is a product here that you can find on Amazon, as well as within the United States at Blue Compass RV dealerships across the US and Walmart locations. They have it in a pod formula, liquid formula, and powder formula, and it's going to make sure that everything that goes into your toilet gets liquefied, drains out properly, and keeps your black tank healthy and smelling good. So definitely something every RV owner should have, and you can find that again at Blue Compass RV dealerships across the US and also on Amazon. So that's another thing, like when we're looking at this stuff in Europe, yeah, it's really cool, really good, high quality. But in America, we would never, a manufacturer would never ever build a camper without a shower in America. Like that just doesn't even exist. There's hardly anything out there. There's nothing out there in this size or bigger that does not have its full own designated enclosed shower space. Like that's just a big difference between Europe and the US. Really nice looking mirror setup here. You actually do have storage in both of these little corners right there. Got some hooks here as well. You can see even like a nice leather styling here on that panel there on the wall. And then that's pretty much everything. Got your storage here underneath the sink. Last thing before we go back outside, we got our closet space. I don't think we looked at this, but you got your closet here. Oh, another big thing that's missing in this, no air conditioning either. So you can look up in the ceiling, there's no AC, no AC vents. I'm sure there's some sort of furnace in here because the furnace is pretty important, and having a heat source in Europe is pretty important. But unless there's something I'm missing, some piece of equipment somewhere that I can't see that's hidden somewhere, like maybe under one of these booth dining areas. We already looked under the bed. I can't imagine an air conditioner would be under these booths, but I suppose it's possible. I guess let me do some investigating real quick. Okay, we found something. So you have these boards that flip up for your storage underneath the dining area. And we do have this machine here. This is a, what's the brand on this? A Truma. Yeah, see, this looks like it's just a furnace to me. This doesn't look like an air conditioner. I don't even think it could be, because you would have condensation that would run off of an air conditioning system that you wouldn't want to have, you know, kind of located in this area without any way to drain out the condensation. So that's got to be the furnace. And it has an exhaust fan going outside the camper. See your heat ducting running through here. But yeah, it looks like even at this price point, still no air conditioning in these Caravans. So that's something that, again, is just going to kind of be your norm here in Europe. Most everything does not have an air conditioner. If it does, it's like real premium pricing and a real premium product, because this is already pretty dang nice. And still not seeing an air conditioner in here is, from an American perspective, just absolutely insane. And I don't think we would ever, you know, have that. But in Europe, I just don't know that y'all deal with these same warm temperatures that we do in states like Texas, Arizona, Florida, Louisiana, all those different territories in the South. Let me show you the size of these bunks here real quick. So I'm going to attempt to climb up into this top bunk so that you can see how small this area is. Getting into each one of these bunks, you have about a similar amount of head space to work with here. These guardrails also kind of limit that space. So if you're a kid, it probably is a lot easier. But for me, you can see here, as someone who is 6'1", 185 pounds, it's you gotta like really squeeze in here. There's barely enough room for my shoulders to even like clear in the space, and I'm not that big. And then when I lay down, obviously my head's gonna come up into this cubby area, but the length on this bed is probably only about 5'7", 5'8" at best. And I think the bottom bunk, the lowest bunk here, is even shorter than this one. So definitely only designed for kids. The other thing about it is, because you're so close to the ceiling here, getting out of the bunk, even if you use the ladder, as a grown person, this is what you get. This is what it looks like right here. So it's not the most comfortable for grown adults, but luckily you have the dining table that can make into a bed if you need that extra sleeping space. Oh, here we go. Just got to jump down. Okay, so that's everything just about on the inside. Really fascinating conversations to have around these different topics. I could talk about this stuff all day, so sorry if I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I genuinely talk about this stuff for quite a long length of time. But as we look throughout here, we got your dual pane acrylic windows. In case I didn't touch on it, I think I did though, we have this, you know, bubbled siding that's aluminum here, or it feels like it's at least aluminum. It definitely feels metal. So definitely really good quality on that. It's a higher grade aluminum. Out here, it looks like we got a couple water sources. So they show like a water port here. That is locked. So I'm not sure what that one is. Some of the stuff here, like, you know, just the standards, the norms in Europe are a little different, and I have to trying to figure out like what those differences are. Like, this is interesting. Your power plug is on your camp side. In the US, our power plugs are always on the back side of the camper or the Caravan, or on the non-camp side. And we consider the camp side to be whatever side the entry door is on, or the side that would, you know, face out into our camping area. You have a rail system right here. Can't remember, now I'm getting so jumbled because I've filmed so many different RVs. I'm trying to remember what we talked about, but this rail system here that I've been talking about in all the other videos, hopefully I didn't already mention this, is where you can attach in different pieces of like outdoor awnings. You can kind of turn this whole outdoor area into another living arrangement. If you get a setup of something that goes around this whole track system and comes out, it literally like doubles your living space, as you can make this all an enclosed area as well. So that's another way people kind of, you know, maximize their living space in a Caravan like this, is most of them have that rail system on it. Then you have your black tank under here. So it is like this little suitcase piece device that you pull out. It's pretty small compared to what we're used to for black tank sizes in the US. And you can go dump that pretty much wherever you want. Really nice looking front end here on this hobby product line. Nice color scheme as well, just looks really nice. And then we have our storage door up here. So pretty neat storage door area as well. Still don't know exactly what these either water or fuel tanks are for exactly. So if you know, let us know. I'm sure somebody has probably told me in the comments of another video at this point, but I filmed about 20 campers so far, or 20 caravans here at this event. But all those videos haven't been published yet as of me filming this. So you'll see that I probably have a bunch of other stuff that's already been published prior to this video where I'm asking questions that have probably already been answered by people in comments in those questions. But it's because these videos were all filmed before those videos were seen publicly. So hopefully that doesn't confuse anybody. But that's pretty much all I got. The price on this here, I think we mentioned it, but I'll double touch on it real quick, is about 40,000 euros. So that's gonna put this in like a $50,000 to $60,000 priced travel trailer as an equivalent to a US, a US monetary system. So curious your thoughts on this. And it's a really nice looking camper. I mean, the thing is beautiful and it's a pretty cool design on the inside. Definitely different than what we see in the United States. So curious your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And until next time, live firmly unbound.